a stone sty on a lost island, a pig is weeping. Not from hunger, not from the mud. Look at its eyes. They are not a pig's eyes. They are a man's. Yesterday he had a name, a ship, a home waiting across the sea. Today he has bristles and a snout and a body he did not choose. But his mind is still entirely his own. That is the horror this island keeps. Not a monster with claws. She can take a man's body, his voice, his shape, everything except the part of him that has to feel it happen. This is the record of Circe and the men she kept awake inside their own cages. She is not a witch, not in the way the word is used now. Circe is a goddess, daughter of Helios, the sun itself. Her mother, Circe, is a nymph of the ocean's oldest line, and her family is a roll call of the worst things in this mythology. Her brother is Aeaea, the king who guards the golden fleece. Her sister is Pasiphae, the queen who will one day give birth to the Minotaur. Her niece is Medea, the most feared sorceress the Greeks ever told stories about. This is not one strange woman on one strange island. This is a bloodline, passed down from the sun, built for one purpose: transformation. Turning one thing into another, a man into a beast, a body into a weapon. Circe simply does it first, and she does it alone, which is exactly how Odysseus finds her, alone, on an island called Aeaea, at the edge of the known world. His scouts find the house first. Smoke rising from a clearing in dense forest. And at the door, wolves. Mountain lions. Predators enough to kill every man standing there twice over. But they don't attack. They fawn. They wag. They rise on their hind legs like dogs begging for scraps. Here is the first thing you would get wrong about that scene. Those aren't tame animals. Those are her guests, from other ships, other years. The men go in anyway. She welcomes them. A feast, cheese, barley, honey, wine, laced with something none of them can taste. One man stays outside, Eurylochus. Something about the house unsettles him. It's the only reason he survives what happens next. Inside, Circe raises her wand and strikes each man in turn. Heads, bristles, hooves. Their bodies fold into swine, one after another. But Homer is precise about what does not change. Their minds stay exactly as they were. She pens them like livestock and throws them acorns to eat off the ground. Eurylochus runs, back to the ship, back to Odysseus, to tell him his men are still alive, and that is the worst part of the news. Here is what the pig story leaves out. It isn't rare, it's a pattern. A sea god named Glaucus once loved a nymph named Scylla and came to Circe begging for a charm to win her. Circe wanted Glaucus for herself. He said no. So Circe didn't curse him. She cursed the woman he loved instead. She poisoned the pool where Scylla bathed. Scylla waded in a nymph and came out something else. Her legs unraveled into 6 snarling dog-headed necks, screaming from a body that used to be beautiful. That is the monster in the strait, the one ships die trying to pass. Made, not born, made by jealousy. A king named Picus refused her too, loved his own wife instead. Circe turned him into a woodpecker and left his wife to grieve a husband who still lived as a bird forever. Appetite refused becomes a curse. Every single time. And every man on that ship is standing in the house of a goddess with an unbroken record. An unbroken record, and Odysseus is about to become the first exception. Subscribe and stay with me, because nothing like what happens next has ever happened to her before. Odysseus walks toward that house, not knowing any of this. But the god Hermes meets him on the path first. He hands him a plant, black root, milk-white flower. Moly, the gods call it. Hard for mortal men to dig, but the gods can do all things. It is the only reason what happens next doesn't happen to him. He eats her feast, drinks her cup. She strikes him with the wand. Nothing happens. For the first time in her long life, her drug fails. Circe has never met a man her magic couldn't hold. Odysseus draws his sword. She drops to her knees and begs. He makes her swear a binding oath before she gets what she wants from him, that she will plot no further harm. Only then does she restore his men, younger, taller, more handsome than before they walked in. And then something stranger than the transformation happens. They stay a full year, feasting, comfortable, forgetting entirely that home exists. It takes his own crew, finally, to remind him he has a wife waiting across the sea. When he finally asks to leave, Circe tells him something worse than any monster could. He cannot sail home yet. First, he has to sail down into the house of the dead to speak with a ghost. Every road out of this story runs through her first. She is the reason the Aeaea happens at all. And when he comes back up from that darkness, it's Circe again who tells him what's waiting next. The singing women on the rocks, the six-headed horror in the strait she herself once made. But the story doesn't end when Odysseus sails away, not for her. Years later, a son she bore him, Telegonus, raised on Aeaea, never having met his father, sails looking for him. He lands on the wrong island by accident, raids it for food. Odysseus comes out to fight the raider, and dies on his own son's spear, tipped with the poisoned spine of a stingray. A prophet warned him once in the underworld that his death would come from the sea. This is how the sea collected. The goddess who could unmake a man's body without touching his mind is the one who closes his story. And down in that same underworld, the Greeks believed something was waiting for every soul that follows. That is the record I'm opening next.